All right, let's jump right in today. We're tackling iconic film trilogies, but not just any trilogies, right? The ones that really shook things up in their genres.
Yeah, the ones that kind of, took those genres, flipped them on their head, and did things their own way.
Exactly, and it's more than just the cool factor. We're talking about a lasting impact. These films influenced, well, pretty much everything that came after them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like cultural landmarks.
Yeah.
You can trace so many modern movies back to these trilogies. It's crazy.
And we're lucky enough to have a whole bunch of articles and notes on some of the biggest hitters: The Evil Dead, Indiana Jones, Mad Max, Night of the Living Dead, and Pusher.
Wow, that's a pretty awesome lineup.
It is, and it's going to be a wild ride. We're going to
All
dig deep into why they work, why they're still relevant, and maybe even uncover some things we didn't know before.
I'm all for that. Let's get started.
Okay, let's kick things off with a trilogy that, well, doesn't hold back on the blood and guts, but still manages to make you laugh: The Evil Dead. What always gets me is how it starts as pure horror in that first film, then shifts to this crazy horror comedy in Evil Dead 2.
Right. It's like almost slapstick at times. Chainsaws, blood splattering everywhere, and you can't help but chuckle.
And then just when you think you have it figured out, Army of Darkness throws in medieval fantasy and action elements. It's wild.
Yeah, Sam Raimi, the director, really just went for it. He didn't shy away from anything.
I mean, mixing horror and humor, that's a tough line to walk. But he somehow made it work brilliantly.
It's like he's playing with the genre, pushing it to its limits and loving every minute of it.
And you got to talk about Bruce Campbell as Ash, right? I mean, he's iconic.
He's the reason those movies work.
Mhm.
Rainey's visual style, those camera movements, the effects, they're amazing. But Campbell's Ash is what brings it all together.
It's like he's both the hero and the punchline. He's so over the top, but there's this wink to the audience, you know?
Totally. He knows it's ridiculous, and we know it's ridiculous, but we're all in on the joke together.
And that groovy line, forget about it. Instant classic.
Absolutely. That blend of horror, humor, and Campbell's just being Campbell. That's what makes The Evil Dead so special.
Okay, so we fought off some Deadites. Now let's grab our whips and fedoras. It's time for Indiana Jones. Talk about pure cinematic gold.
Oh, yeah. Those first three films, man, they just capture the spirit of adventure perfectly. It's like stepping back in time, but with, all the excitement of modern filmmaking.
Spielberg and Lucas really tapped into something timeless there. They took those old 1930s adventure serials and gave them a modern makeover.
And the visual effects, even now, they still hold up. They were groundbreaking for their time.
Right. And let's be honest, Harrison Ford IS Indiana Jones.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That charm, that wit, he embodies the character perfectly.
Raiders of the Lost Ark especially, it just nails that old serial vibe. You've got exotic locations, booby-trapped temples, daring escapes, the fight for a historical artifact. It all works.
It's a formula that never gets old. Even decades later, it still grabs you.
All right, hold on tight. Things are about to get a little intense. We're heading into the wasteland with Mad Max.
Ooh, yeah, Mad Max. Now we're talking about Bleak, a world on the edge where gasoline is basically currency and survival is a constant battle.
What always strikes me about Mad Max is how much is said without words. It's all visual storytelling.
Absolutely. George Miller, the director, he's a master of visual storytelling. The desolate landscapes, the crazy action, the characters. He conveys so much without relying on dialogue.
It's almost like a silent film at times, but it packs such a punch.
Oh, yeah. And let's not forget that line from Beyond Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. Talk about capturing the raw brutality of that world.
Chills every time.
And you can see Mad Max's influence all over modern cinema. The Book of Eli, Fury Road. They all owe a debt to Mad Max. It's like Miller created a visual language for dystopian action that everyone else is still drawing from.
Okay, time for a bit of a gear shift. Let's talk about a trilogy that didn't just influence a genre, it practically invented it. Night of the Living Dead.
Ah, the granddaddy of the modern zombie movie. And, it's not just about scares and gore. There's so much more going on beneath the surface.
George Romero, the mastermind behind it all, he used zombies as a way to talk about society. It's social commentary disguised as horror.
He was a genius at that. He could make you jump out of your seat, but also make you think about, what it all means.
Exactly. He showed us that horror can be more than just entertainment. It can be a reflection of our own anxieties and fears. And each film in the trilogy tackles different things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like Dawn of the Dead with the whole mall setting, that's a pretty blatant critique of consumerism. The zombies are drawn to the mall just like people are. It's brilliant.
And then Day of the Dead really digs into the relationships between people, even when everything's falling apart. You see the worst of humanity, but also the best. It's really powerful.
Romero makes you question things.
Mhm.
What would you do in that situation? Could you hold on to your humanity? That's what makes his work so compelling. It's not just scary, it's thought-provoking.
All right, get ready for a completely different vibe now. Let's take a trip into the dark underbelly of Copenhagen with Pusher. This Danish crime trilogy is, well, it's intense, to say the least.
Yeah, no sugarcoating here. Pusher is raw, gritty, and about as realistic as it gets when it comes to the criminal world.
It's like they took a documentary camera and just dropped it right into the middle of the Copenhagen underworld. Everything feels real, almost uncomfortably so.
Nicholas Winding Refn, the director, he uses handheld cameras, natural lighting, and these long, unbroken takes that just draw you in. It's like you're right there with the characters, experiencing everything they're going through.
And the actors. Man, they are phenomenal. There are no heroes here. Just flawed individuals making bad decisions with even worse consequences.
It's not always easy to watch, but it's impossible to look away.
So we've got 5 very different trilogies here, each one unique in its own way. The Evil Dead, Indiana Jones, Mad Max, Night of the Living Dead, and Pusher. Different genres, different styles, but there's something that connects them all, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. There's a shared thread running through them, something that
Yeah.
makes them all, well, kind of special.
And that's what we're going to explore next. What ties these trilogies together? Why do they stick with us even after all these years?
I can't wait to dig into that.
That too.
It's really interesting when you think about it. Each of these trilogies, they're so different. Different worlds, different stories. But they all did something new, something groundbreaking. They pushed their genres forward.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to take risks to break the rules. Like,
Yeah.
The Evil Dead injecting humor into horror, that was a big gamble. And Indiana Jones, it took that old adventure serial format and made it feel fresh and exciting again with those amazing stunts and special effects.
Exactly. And Mad Max, I mean,
Yeah.
come on, that was a whole new vision of a dystopian future,
Yeah.
both terrifying and beautiful in a way. Miller, he really stripped everything back to basics, focusing on survival. And visually, he was just stunning. The costumes, the cars, those vast desert landscapes, it was like nothing we'd ever seen before.
And let's not forget Night of the Living Dead. Romero, he gave us zombies, sure, but he also gave us a way to think about ourselves, about society. He used horror to make us confront some pretty uncomfortable truths about human nature.
It's like he was holding up a mirror to us,
Yeah.
saying, hey, this is what we're capable of. And it's still relevant today.
And then you have Pusher, which took crime cinema to a whole new level of realism. There's no glorification of violence, no romanticizing the criminal lifestyle. It's just raw and brutal.
Refn's Copenhagen, it's like another kind of wasteland. But instead of deserts, it's the streets and back alleys.
Yeah.
And that handheld camera work, the way he uses natural light, it makes you feel like you're right there in the middle of it all.
And you can't talk about these trilogies without talking about the characters. Ash, Indy, Max. They're iconic, larger than life. They become part of our collective imagination.
It's true. They represent something. Ash, the wisecracking hero who never gives up. Indy, the adventurer who's always searching for something. Max, the survivor, pushed to his limits.
And we connect with them because they feel real, even when the situations they're in are totally crazy.
And the villains, too. I mean, they're just as memorable as the heroes. The Deadites, the Nazis, the wasteland gangs, those creepy scientists in Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
They all push our heroes to their limits.
They represent the darkness, the challenges we all face in life, and they make the stories so much richer.
And then there are the themes. Good versus evil, the struggle for survival, the consequences of our choices. These are ideas that have been around forever, and they'll always be relevant.
These trilogies, they tap into something fundamental about the human experience, and they give us a way to explore those ideas, to confront our fears, but in a safe, fictional world.
It's like they offer us a chance to work through those things, to learn and grow.
And they do it with such artistry. Raimi, Spielberg, Miller, Romero, Refn. These are masters of their craft. They know how to use the tools of cinema to create truly unforgettable experiences.
It's not just about the story, it's about how it's told. The visuals, the sound, the pacing, it all comes together to create something special.
And that's why these trilogies have endured. They're well made, they're thought-provoking, and they're just plain fun to watch.
They're the kind of films you can watch over and over again, and you always discover something new.
And there's that nostalgia factor, too. Watching these films can take you back to a simpler time, a time when maybe things felt less complicated.
It's like revisiting old friends, reliving those memories.
And those shared memories, they connect us to other people who love these films. It's like a common language, a way to bond with others who get it.
Exactly. It creates a sense of community.
And these trilogies, they've had such a huge impact on pop culture. You can see their influence everywhere in other films, TV shows, video games, even fashion.
It's amazing, really. These stories, they become part of our collective DNA.
And it all goes back to the power of storytelling. A good story, well told, it can transcend time and culture. And these trilogies, they're proof of that.
They're not just entertainment, they're part of who we are.
And speaking of who we are, I think it's time we turn the focus to you, the listener. What about these trilogies resonates with you? What really hooked you? Was it those groundbreaking special effects, or maybe those characters that felt so real like you could hang out with them? Or was it those deeper themes that made you think about things in a new way?
Maybe it was the pure escapism of it all,
Mhm.
getting lost in another world for a couple of hours.
Exactly. Everyone connects with these films differently, and that's what makes them so fascinating.
So, yeah, take a minute, think about it. Which of these trilogies really left its mark on you?
Which characters stayed with you, even after the credits rolled? What ideas from these films still pop into your head every now and then?
And the big question is why? What is it about those specific films that keeps drawing you back?
It's more than just liking a movie, right? It's about how those films connect to you on a deeper level, how they resonate with who you are.
It's like the stories we choose, they say something about us, about what we value, what we fear, what we hope for.
That's a really interesting way to think about it. And as we wrap up our deep dive into these iconic film trilogies, we hope you'll keep thinking about these questions.
Don't let the conversation end here.
Explore these films even further. Rewatch your favorites, or maybe check out one you've never seen before.
Talk about them with friends, family, maybe even have a movie night dedicated to one of these trilogies.
And most importantly, keep that sense of wonder alive.
There's so much out there to discover, so many amazing films waiting to be seen.
You never know, you might just find your next favorite film, your next obsession.
Exactly. Film has this incredible power to transport us, to introduce us to worlds and characters we never could have imagined. And it can leave us feeling changed, inspired, even a little bit wiser.
So keep exploring, keep watching, and keep the magic of cinema alive.
And until next time, happy viewing.